Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 402. This is your guide to the geek side, and we are brought by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, use code SFU, and get 20% off with free shipping. Thank you, Manscaped, for making this episode possible. You can also find our podcasts on all the available podcasting networks. Go to the Secret Friends Unite network feed, get the Holocron Chronicles for Star Wars, the co-op mode for video games. You get the Code 47 for all things Star Trek, and SFU Prime, which you're listening to now. When you're done listening with your ears, go to YouTube and watch with your eyes to see what we're doing in our backgrounds. And please subscribe and leave a comment there. We'd love to hear from you. And just a big shout out for Chan Selig, or Selig Chan. He won our custom controller. So congratulations. Mark has taken care of that because he's in Canada, and so is Chan. So enjoy that controller, and we want pictures.
Yes.
But now on to the show. I am Todd Oxtra, one of your hosts, joined by Charlie Carden.
What's up? I'm back. It was, what a crazy weekend was the reason I was not here, obviously, last time. Grand Rapids Comic-Con, which I was talking up. We had our booth with Graham Petoskey, our Star Trek fan club chapter. We also had our first annual meeting, which was amazing, between the booth with printed photographs with our prop piece, which is Captain Kirk's chair and the Helm Council, and then our annual meeting with our silent auction, which one of our people organized. We garnered over $1,100 for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which was more than we've ever done by score. So it was such a busy weekend. April and I always take the Monday afterwards off, and let me tell you, we did not barely budge from the couch. We were so exhausted, so much work, but absolutely so much worth it. So if you're listening to the show and you visited us, you contributed, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You're out there helping a kid, achieve their ultimate dream, through your donation. So I'm very grateful for that. And we saw Black Panther, but that ship has sailed, so I'm not going to talk much about that.
Well, very good. Yeah, it's been a kind of a crazy season. We had a lot of anniversaries, birthdays in my family. So now we're kind of getting ready for the holidays, and that's going to be a big part of this theme of this show, Charlie. This episode will actually come out new. That's something we've done now. We're dropping episodes on Tuesday, so we don't have like this big gap between the news, and so you'll get to hear all about our take on our perfect Geek Thanksgiving in the Thunderdome. So we're very excited about that. So Charlie, as we talked last episode, we had Josiah on. We started with number one. Now we're going to a number two. So I picked this one. You said you get pick number three. Perfectly fine.
Yes.
So I picked the A-Team comic, number two.
So great.
April 1984. We've got the what it reads is, they're all here. The Face, Howling Mad Murdoch, B.A. Baracus, Amy Allen, Hannibal Smith, and the action never stops. B.A. battles the Sumo. Wow.
I mean, that is perfect for Thanksgiving, in my opinion, because, who's going to get that other turkey leg? Who's going to get the last, dollop of the macaroni and cheese or the green bean, or the green, what's the word?
Green bean casserole.
Green bean casserole, thank you. Which is a weird thing. It was funny. My wife was asking our kids, what do you guys want or whatever? And my son comes back with green bean casserole, and she's like, yeah, but I've never made that, and it's gross. That's the problem when you ask questions. Sometimes you get answers that make no sense from kids.
It's super easy to make. A can of green beans, can of cream of chicken soup, and those little crispy onions. Put it in the oven, and it's good. It's tasty. I like it.
All right, then you send us pictures. And you put them on our Discord or on our Twitter.
It's just never been It's never been part of our Thanksgiving feast. Somebody typically brings it, and I'm like, I'll eat some. Right. Oh yeah, that's fine. Moving on.
Somebody brings them, yes, indeed. So anyway, this is great. And again, as you and I talked about, going back to renumbering, because otherwise we're searching for a 402 or a 507 or a 615 by the time we get there. So now every 100 episodes will just start over again. And so, yes, I'd like.
Well, maybe we'll go to like 10. Maybe we can do that. We can go like 101, 102. We'll see how far this bus takes us in this numbering, and then we'll just renumber. It's the perfect Marvel and DC attempt at doing this. But I will say it's interesting that they're being basically BA and the Sumo are wrestling here, but then we've got a bunch of guys with one guy with a sword that's holding him back, and then a couple of it looks like a Tommy gun. They're being held at bay.
Right. Those are those gangsters, whoever they're fighting, they're in Japan or they're Japan adjacent or whatever it is. That they're a little bit one foot in the past, one foot in the future. Now I'm curious. I'm sure this comic doesn't exist anywhere digitally. You would have to find it,
Ooh.
in the 50-cent bin at your local comic shop, because if it existed digitally, the picture you posted wouldn't just be a photograph of the cover, because it doesn't exist anywhere else. So
Yeah, licensed
not
stuff is
surprising.
hard to find on
Big
anybody's
time.
app. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if this truly takes place in Japan, then obviously BA had to be drugged because they're not driving the
Right.
van to Japan.
He he does not fly. But one person who also is on the no-fly list for an entirely different reason, Todd, that would be our very own Madam Webb. She's scared of airplanes because she's also afraid of the sun, and so we pretty much keep her off of that. But she is set down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine. She does have her phone, which we did teach her how to use, so she's able to look at the internet, because she always brings us the rumors and news. So let's get on down there.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's Rumors and News. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Yes, you have the Jitterbug cell phone, which has 5 buttons. So I believe those are Charlie, Todd, 911. I believe the other one is for calling David Hasselhoff. Don't know how you got his number. And the other one, I believe, is for Fuber. That's for feeble. It's feeble Uber. They come and pick her up, and they pick her up in a Model T.
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't know how she's getting all those hot scoops, but she absolutely pulled it off this week, because we are off to the races. First and foremost, Sony Spider-Man universe expanding to television. We have details of a series about the character Silk, Cindy Moon, who burst on the scene. I'm going to be plucking this from memory in around 2014 for the actual Spider-Verse miniseries, which is definitely one of my favorites. It was Cindy Moon. As I had said, she actually got her powers from the same spider that bit Peter, bit her, and then it went woo and landed on her foot or something. It's all detailed in there if you read back there. But it was weird. They had this weird sexual attraction to each other, which didn't last for very long, thank God, because that was kind of thing you're like, okay, Peter wasn't with Mary Jane at the time, he wasn't cheating around, but this is awesome. So this was reported by Screen Rant. Amazon is looking to move forward with the show. They got Angela Kang from The Walking Dead, which actually wraps up tonight. We're very excited about that in my house because we've been rewatching The Walking Dead. So this is neat, live action. I'm scrolling up to see, but I'm making that assumption if someone like Angela Kang is involved. Moving forward on Amazon Prime, so that's pretty sweet. Todd, any familiarity with this character that you're?
It's actually one of my wife's favorite comics.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
right.
she really likes the character. She's read it quite a bit, which is very cool because it's a character I'm tangentially familiar with from what you've said. I think I've read some of the Spider-Verse comics, so that's kind of cool that she exists. And apparently, this is also going to have producers are going to be Phil Lord and Chris Miller are also going to be involved as actually
those
producers.
Guys.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. And it's kind of neat because what they're doing is it's kind of one of those things with Sony. They don't have a network. So they're kind of playing the field who wants the content. And
playing the field.
It's going to go, this is going to go to MGM Plus first, which I think that used to be something else.
What
it used to be it used to be like Lionsgate or something. I don't know. It's just one of those weird things. It's a service though, MGM Plus, but it's going to go to Amazon then. Following once the season wraps up, this will go to Amazon. So this is one of those weird new deals, and Sony's looking really good because they aren't tied to having to create a service and a network where they have to worry about subscribers and things. They just make the content like the old days, Charlie. Where you'd get Sony Television would put shows on NBC and ABC, and then you get a Fox show, but it's there, and it's why isn't it on this? And it's because production houses, there's not always enough spaces back in the old days to fill a schedule that were open. So this is a smart play where content is king, and they can make a lot of it, and they don't have to worry about do we have enough subscribers.
Well, this has got to prop up, Paramount Plus, or this has got to prop up Disney or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So, well, this is cool. So I would imagine if this is moving forward, pre-production will be next year. So probably something we'll see in 2024, one would think.
Yeah, and I hope this is I hope this is not like what we've seen with Sony's live action films, and I hope this is more grounded. And I hope with Miller and Lord being involved, and then someone that's very familiar with TV, with Miss Kang, I think this could be cool. Because
Yeah.
the character that a lot of people say, I don't know who this character is. So it's not, I think this is a cool take on a way to introduce characters slowly versus here's the Spider-Man Avengers, in one
Spider
movie.
Avengers. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, Todd, before we move on, what's going on with your background? We didn't even touch on that.
Oh yes, we really should, because this person, and I'm gonna screw up his name because he's one of those. It's one of the three names person. So I'm
Right.
gonna look it up just to make sure. I believe it's Jason David Frank.
Yeah, I was going to say it wrong, so I'm glad you looked it up.
I believe it is.
I was going to say David Frank Jason or something.
Yeah, Jason David Frank. And the reason I read it up because there was rumors this morning on Twitter that he passed away. And I always wait to hear, like, does TMZ or one of these other credible services actually say it's true? And it was
Not
true
just Twitter.
that he passed away at 49. So he is most known as the Green Ranger, Tommy. He has been with that franchise, which the franchise has now been around for almost 30 years. It's evergreen.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It keeps coming back. They've had multiple movies, different iterations, and he's continued to be a part of it, which not many of the Power Rangers have been. But he is like he is the iconic character from that series. He keeps coming back. He is a 8th degree karate black belt, and he's been so prevalent. And Charlie, we've been enough of these Comic-Cons that we get Power Rangers there, and he's always there, always popular.
I've seen the Black Ranger, I've seen the Blue Ranger at multiple shows that we've worked and that we've attended. So definitely, yeah, and people gobble it up. Absolutely gobbled up. Like you said, the franchise is evergreen. I know it came to the States anyway, because I believe it would, at least portions of it, or the notion of it was from overseas. So when I was in high school, me and my high school best friend Louie, who you know, would watch that shit after school and laugh our asses off because it was so ridiculous.
Goofy.
But we were teenagers. If you dialed it back 10 years, kids were probably absolutely obsessed with it because it fit it was like He-Man was to us, or any of the shit that we watched that was dumb. Like, it was Filmation with the whatever it is, but or G.I. Joe or Transformers, that wasn't great stuff, but it was great for kids, and so it really ingrains. And and so much of the things that we enjoy is all about the member berries. Hey, I remember how that made me feel because I was a kid, blah blah blah. So anyway, do we know a cause of death, or is that not snuck out?
I don't think it's confirmed as of yet. They'll deal with that, and sadly, when someone dies like this, who's in good health, because he was an athlete, all these things, I worry about what the cause was, unless it was more like a long-term illness, but I'm not aware of it. But I have a personal memory with my son. Logan was a huge Power Rangers fan, and we went to Wizard World Minneapolis, and this guy was great. He did a karate, like, just I guess it was an impromptu. He got on stage, did an impromptu like karate lessons for all the little kids or parents who wanted to involve. So Logan got to do that, and then he also got a signed poster from the Green Ranger. So and
that's awesome.
My good friend Dan Bauer, who's here, he's younger than me, so it's kind of in his wheelhouse, and he grew up with it. And he actually, his wife, Jason David Frank was actually involved in the proposal at a con to his wife. So
wow.
It's amazing. So, rest in power, my friend. I hopefully, you are well remembered, and people really, appreciate what you brought to their childhood.
Give a pause for 1 second. I'm not getting
3, 2, 1. Yeah. So, moving on to hopefully better news is Quentin Tarantino is going to do a first. He's going to be making an 8-episode TV series. And the back half of this story from Geek Tyrant is he reveals the Marvel movie he'd make. So first of all, let's get to the TV. So we've got this great transition where TV was trash and movies were the only thing. We've got great producers and directors who are now thinking TV is a great way to get longer format stories to come across. And that's amazing. I love that. So Tarantino is now promoting his book. Along the way, he's talking about the fact that he has previously directed TV episodes. He did CSI. He did a couple of those, which is kind of interesting. And then the new project he potentially could be working on is called Bounty Law, which is a fictional show that Leonardo DiCaprio's character from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood would have been on. So almost like one of those pulp cowboy shows from like the 60s.
Bizarre. You saw that movie and I didn't because you were like, meh. And so it just stayed off of my radar.
When I look to what it was, I really appreciated it. But it is one of those most like when you get an artist who just is so self-indulgent and just he wants to make the movie he wants to make, and if only 2 people were interested in it, that's good enough for him.
So like Kevin Smith, really.
Because I think you'll like it though, Charlie.
Yeah.
I think because
I still never saw Clerks 3 either, speaking of Kevin Smith.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Clerks 3. Like they say that's like the first movie they felt like that actually came from his heart, not from his fart.
Dick Whedon fart jokes.
Yeah.
But Tarantino, I mean, captured a generation, our generation with Pulp Fiction. Because I mean, I do bump into occasionally people who are just like, I just don't really get it. But my guy, and I know my dad saw it at the time, he was like, well, I just really don't. But I'm like, it's just not for you. It's for us. And people. But it was just God. If you remember when it came out, it was when I was just going into college, and it was everybody was talking about it. But since then, I mean, he's made a lot of stuff since then, is the best I can say about Tarantino. But him dabbling in TV, obviously, I don't want, what was that, CSI CSI?
Yeah, I did a couple episodes. You get that every once in a while. Like I loved CSI, so and I think it's kind of cool when you have like this formulaic show, and then you get someone who's an auteur can come in and shake it up a little bit. You get that occasionally, like a series will launch, and it's like the first episode directed by this guy, and they're like, oh, that was great. Now it's just directed by a bunch of goobers.
Or and a lot of those are directed by the same guy or gal, so it's just absolutely lather, rinse, repeat. So this is kind of crazy. So where would this end up?
Well, we don't know. This is just him riffing. This could be real or not. It could be actually this Bounty Law show, or it could be something else. But I could see him doing something kind of like he wants to delve into something else he's passionate about, which would have been those like shows there. But I would recommend Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think you get to see 2 actors act their asses off with Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's got some great moments, and it's a cool snapshot in time of Hollywood too, which is pretty cool. But there is a moment where I'm like, is this going to go someplace different? Right. And it kind of does, kind of doesn't. So take it a grain of salt, but I think it's a good watch. I still need to watch Django Unchained. That's on my why haven't I watched that movie?
You have a story about that when you were watching it, and it was like the holidays, and you were in the theater, and then your mom.
No. That was the Hateful Eight.
Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. I mixed them both together because they were both period pieces.
Exactly. No, I did see Hateful Eight finally at a different theater. Yeah, because I had to pick up my mom because her flight got canceled. So I did see that. Django, I don't know what it was.
It was perfectly violent in the same way. Somebody gets shot, and then the shot always hits their artery, and they're spurting blood, and that became his hallmark. Yeah, big time.
I guess because I'm just not a big Jamie Foxx fan, so I'm like, I don't want to watch 2 hours of Jamie Foxx being Jamie Foxx.
It's like you and Will Smith back in the day.
Kind of is, or like Jennifer Tilly, or a bunch of other actors are like,
exactly.
But we get to the second part of the story, which is pretty funny. He talks about what Marvel project he would do, and I think this is actually a cool idea because I think of what he's done in the past. It's Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos. I don't know how you make that work because Sam Jackson, because of what the era he's in. I don't know if they're going to basically say maybe there's always been a Nick Fury and it's like a moniker like James Bond. That could work, right?
Or you could simply draw it back to the fact that it's another dude named Nick Fury and there's no connection. Because again, it would be in World War II. Right?
It's like a legend, maybe like the legend of Nick Fury, and it's something like you get like a moniker. I think would be a cool idea, right?
Yeah, it would be because you could work in. I mean, if looking at this ostensibly, you could work back in the Howling Commando characters we know.
Go back to the Revolutionary War, maybe like Nick Fury.
Oh my gosh,
isn't that kind of cool? And in every war, you'd have this new guy coming. He's like the special forces,
right?
Yeah,
he's the guy. Yeah,
and but that's how Shield was formed because we never got a real. Did we get a real official Shield?
Shield was the SSR. In the MCU that became S.H.I.E.L.D. after, in the 60s and 70s.
Well, maybe you just go that's he was part of it, and there's always been a Nick Fury.
Right.
Okay. Well, enough riffing on that. Well, this is a kind of cool idea.
Disney, give me money. Oh my God. Speaking of Disney, or rather I say the flip of it, you give Disney money, that'd be a little character known as Henry Walton Jones Jr., more commonly known as Indiana Jones. We got a photograph this week of Todd. What am I going to say about this photograph?
He's old, or he looks old. Yes.
And water is wet, which ironically he's on a boat at sea, so you put those two things together. But yeah, this, I mean, that's not super exciting. But what is kind of is we got some plot information, and maybe this has already been floating around here and I just missed it. But Indiana Jones 5, which is scheduled to come out next summer, will take place during the 1969 moon landing, June of 1969, when they also canceled Star Trek. Damn it, they. But yes, he's reprising the role. Mads Mikkelsen will play a Nazi villain. Remember the Nazis famously in Argentina, or that's what they told us in X-Men First Class, or you remember you saw Hitler in The Simpsons when Bart was making all those prank phone calls in Bart versus Australia. Hitler picked up the phone. Ach, a nuisance phone. Sigmund here.
Gotta love it.
So yeah, so it's funny that I remember that, and I remember your former coworker Patrick, who works at Hasbro, big Indiana Jones fan.
Yeah.
We were riffing about Indiana Jones when he was on our show several months ago. Indiana Jones, born in 1899, so any year that one of his adventures is set, just add 1 year. So he's 70 in this movie. And
Wait,
we know Phoebe
he's
Waller.
playing young.
He's dialing it back 10 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least it looks a little old for 70. No.
Yeah, thank God for the CGI. Movie also started very briefly. Boyd Holbrook. We know Phoebe Waller-Bridge is his goddaughter, Helena. Interesting. And some talk about John Rhys Davies coming back as Sala. Wow.
I've not seen him since. Well, he's been in some
Lord of the
bad
Rings.
movies, but I don't know what he looks like personally, because he's always wearing makeup.
No idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably got to be, and he's probably got to be at least that old. So anyway, that's the movie bit of what's going on. Todd, I'll let you jump into talking about this second bit, which this was news a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, so essentially they want to extend the brand of Indiana Jones. It makes sense. Why not? Why do you make it one and done? It's like, we're done. Nope. It's a franchise everybody knows. It's rife for doing something just similar. Like we always say, Indiana Jones should be like James Bond. And I think there's so many stories to tell, but it's always been linked to one actor because it's really been one actor's been able to play that character for, 5 movies and then be tangentially involved in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Years, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so now Disney Plus is developing a new Indiana Jones series. Now, we don't have any context of what this could mean. So I guess the question becomes, we have got Young Indiana Jones TV series back in the 80s. That was on ABC, I believe.
Right, 90s, yeah.
Was it 90s? Okay, must have been like early
90s, and then you did get Harrison appearing in at least one episode as Indy in the 50s. I remember the episode he was involved in a chase through the snows in Wyoming. He had an artifact. He ends up in a cabin with another character, and then he tells us, and there's a saxophone in the cabin, and so Indy picks up and plays, and then he tells a story about his time as a jazz man in Chicago in the 1920s. That's
jazz man.
What I remember that episode. Jazz.
That's all I want. Just Harrison Ford being in a jazz band, doing kooky nutty things.
Being a yes man.
That's where we get like one of those like hijinks. Like, it's not really going to be about him doing anything except for playing jazz.
Right, exactly. Yeah, for an entire series. Well, this is cool. Do you think that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is going to be the main character in this? If she's his goddaughter and she's in this current film, it could just be a segue, and then it's the 70s, and she's running around doing the kind of stuff that he does.
Disco with the disco soundtrack and being wacky and crazy with bell bottoms.
Disco archaeology. Yeah. Discoology.
Yeah, and I think that's where you could say it could be many things. It could be a Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Is it because there's Phoebe Wallers, who's a band person too. There's like too many names with Phoebe.
Yeah, she was in that show Fleabag.
Yep.
Which was a hoot, and then she was
a very saucy Brit.
Movie. Yep. Very saucy Brit.
Yeah. So I think we could have that. It could be a TV series, could be the next iteration of whatever. And does she take on the moniker of it, or is she just adjacent Indiana Jones person, or maybe she's named after a dog too? I don't know. We already had Mutt, so we got dogs' names running that family. Mutt, Indiana the dog. We don't know, but now, call me crazy, Charlie. I think after seeing What If in that animation style, give us an Indiana Jones style with that. where you just got Harrison Ford doing the voice. He doesn't have to do anything else but be him. And that makes it another way to extend it. He can still be the character.
without
And
having
then
to reboot it, which people
exactly.
hate.
I think that's a great way to tell more stories with this Indiana Jones people love. But then you can say, okay, you're getting more adventures with him because he's too old to do live action. You're not going to put his face on somebody younger body. You're not going to do that. That's one way to do it. And then you introduce maybe other characters within that series and the thing. And you say, are we ready? Maybe a certain amount of time has to pass before you then say, yep, we can go live action with Indiana Jones again. Because Harrison Ford could never do it because now he's 95. I don't know.
Or he's dead, yeah. In which case he'd have to be a cartoon anyway. Whoops.
Is anybody really against it, though? I mean, has anybody ever said, I will never like Indiana Jones if another actor is cast?
I have never heard that ever. And it's not like I hear everything that gets said or know the opinion of every one of the 8 billion people on the planet Earth, which, by the way, is a new number, 8 billion. Not that children who are just born have an opinion about Harrison Ford, but you never know. But yeah, no, I'm not. It's not like anybody really bitches when there's a new James Bond, as long as it's a white guy.
Oh, yes. Well, they may, or a new Doctor Who. Yeah, they make them.
Yeah, oh God.
Yeah.
But those franchises still endure. It's not like, oh my God, they have a blah blah blah, and it's tanked. It's Disney. So what is tanked in Disney terms? If it's tanked, they just stop making it, right? It's not going to destroy the company. You really can't grow the brand if the main actor is, not doing it anymore or is dead or both. So this is, kind of moving it forward in the way that you described is kind of the only way. It's either Phoebe Waller-Bridge or someone else taking on a similar role or a name or whatever it is, or it's Harrison Ford, animating his way through whatever. So yeah, no, I love Indiana Jones. Again, it's one of my stalwarts. I got to suit up as Indiana Jones on Halloween, and I had a new jacket. I was very excited about that. But I hadn't worn that one in a long time. But God, do I love that look. And even just people coming by, parents who are even younger than I did, they still know that. Kids still know that look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Indiana
very
Jones
iconic.
it's still very relevant. People still get it. So I think it's going to be a success. So that's cool. I like it.
Yeah, so we'll see where this goes, but I think this is something where we'll see something in the future. But I think they're going to see how the movie does, and then go from there. Take their cues.
Absolutely.
If people love that character of Phoebe Waller-Bridge, then she could take the mantle on and take us Indiana Jones in a different. That's the hard part, right? Because Indiana Jones feels like it's so tied to the past. Doing something 70s, even though now it's like 50 years ago, still feels pretty modern and recent. So I don't know.
Right. And it's, speaks to people who are of our ilk or a little bit older, because that's, when we were young or when we were born in our case. So yeah, it's still, and it's getting ever closer to when the film first came out. The first film came out in 1981. So anyway, all right. You're going to have to explain to me from the depths of your imagination where you came up with your subhead for this next story.
Okay. So
I'm not getting it.
Behind the curtains, folks, when we make our document to go through, we typically take a link and then we rename it to something goofy, fun. So I dubbed this Escape from Marquette. So Charlie obviously did not look at the story, so I will tell you what it is. So Escape from Marquette.
I just read it over a couple of different times, and I do not see a reference to Marquette. So
no, you don't have to. No, you don't have to. I just said that's my take on it. Is the fact that they are looking to make a new Escape from New York. And obviously,
so it is an escape from blank, blank, blank.
Correct. Exactly.
You just
where will they go next? Why not Marquette? It's a beautiful place.
I guess, but it'll be sieged by whatever, because it's
exactly.
So they blow up all the bridges, and it's an island. You can't blah blah blah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So essentially, we're getting this a new take on it. It will be helmed by the directors of Scream, which is the new take on Scream, not the original. And they're going to be doing.
I did sleep through part of that, so I.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I really liked it. I thought it was good. I liked what they did.
Me too.
Yeah. But apparently John Carpenter will once again be an executive producer on the project. He's made 2 films. One was good. One was, I don't know what it was. Escape from New York.
One was
Escape from LA.
Oh, Escape from LA. It's funny because that came out when we were in college.
And
I know you.
90s.
Yeah, 97. And then I know that you were like a long time holdout for Escape from New York. And didn't you just first see it like 4 or 5 years ago? Or
pretty much. Because I'd seen clips, but I never saw the whole thing. Yeah, which I really enjoyed. I thought it aged well.
I remember Escape from LA, which did not age well because it was more intense. It was more effects driven. Yeah. And 90s CGI is 7 thumbs down. It's really bad. And, you know, and the story was what the story was, but it was iconic to me because of some of the guest stars at the time. You had Stacy Keach. You had the dude who was Uncle Ben in the Raimi Spider-Man. What's his name? Cliff Robertson.
Yeah.
Michelle Forbes, who was Ensign Ro from Star Trek, was in it. You had Steve Buscemi had a role. Valeria, what's her butt from the
Galeno.
Galeno from
Summer School.
Hot Shots movies. Hot Shots, sure, why not?
Oh no, is it she and Summer? I can't remember.
And of course, Bruce Campbell was the surgeon in Beverly Hills. So it's really dumb, but I really like it. So that one I remember
cheesy,
very fondly.
it's campy,
yeah, big time.
Totally is. Yeah, it just was one of those things. It's like, okay, it was doing what it was doing. Felt very 90s. I get it. So now they're looking to reboot this franchise. Now, I don't know what that means. Does it mean going back to New York and doing the same story again, or are they going to say take the premise and do something new with it in that type of world? So there's no information yet where they're going to go with this yet. So we're just kind of guessing. But there is a story that potentially has inspired it. It's basically they're going to maybe lean into the original war with the United States and Soviet Union. I don't know. You could probably, I mean, obviously we're pretty close to that right now. So it could be evergreen. You know, we've got LA, we've got New York. Is there another iconic place you could go? DC, maybe could work.
I mean, what's the third biggest metropolitan area in the U.S.? DC seems right.
It's got to be a city in California, I assume. Outside of that, Boston. I mean,
San Francisco,
dense population, Chicago. Texas. I mean, lots of big cities.
I thought of Texas,
Dallas
too.
and Houston.
Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yeah. So it could work there either way.
You're right. It doesn't get more iconic.
Could you go in Europe?
New York. Yeah.
Go to the UK. It's already an island. I mean, you know.
That's true. I mean, you know, New York is so iconic. Now that's what we're doing with Walk of the Dead. They're doing a spin with the Walk of the Dead, The Walking Dead. You got it. They're doing a spinoff with that now. As you know, with Maggie Negan on the island of Manhattan. So does this give us a vibe that Kurt Russell is going to be involved, or are they just taking it back to plan? They're just taking the concept.
Do you have like an old man Snake? I mean, you could do that.
He still acts because obviously he was Ego and Guardians 2, and you still see him in different stuff. So
I mean, like Logan, I think of like an old man. I mean, Russell is now looking his age.
Remember at the end of the last movie, as was such a super trope in the 90s and 2000s, the MacGuffin in that film was an EMP that would broadcast over the world and destroy all technology. Remember when EMPs were like, there was in one season before that was a big thing. EMPs were always such a big thing, but that's what Snake did. He pushed the button and then he destroyed technology and took everything back to the Stone Age. So maybe as a reboot, it's not going to be, you know, here's what's happening, you know, 25 years later, because everything still sucks. There's no technology. Be a short movie, right? He wouldn't have any fun gadgets or whatever, or be able to steal a car or something. So it could be. I would almost think total reboot.
And he's 71.
That's my vibe.
So by the time 75,
that doesn't matter with the. I mean, you got Harrison Ford out there. They're de-aging him for the indie movie.
Well, we had Jamie Lee Curtis. We had Jamie Lee Curtis coming in Halloween, another Carpenter thing. So if he, I think he will be in the movie regardless. Now, I don't know who. If you have a new Snake, I don't know who. Charlie, if you could cast someone as Snake, the new Snake Plissken, who could do it?
Call me Snake. There, that's our outro right there. God, I don't know. You want to have somebody? His son. There you go, John Walker, U.S. agent. He's got the same, you know, big jaw. There you go,
big jaw.
Big jaw is a qualifier of some kind. I know you did there. That was mine. You do one.
David Harbour from Stranger Things.
He's an old guy. He's an older guy. Well,
I think he's in his 40s.
Okay, that's would be, you know, branding us as older guys, but well, how old was Kurt Russell when he did that movie? I don't know, but anyway, we're picking nits on this.
He would have been in 30s. He would have been in his 30s. He is. If I get David Harbour really quick, if I do an age check, he was born. He's our age, Charlie. He's exactly our age. 1975. He is my age. April 10th. He's born 6 days before me. So 47.
Oh, you guys are like. If you ever meet him at a show, you got something to talk about that'll creep him the fuck out because
Yeah.
you know his birthday. Well, that's cool. So anyway, much like with anything, if it's being talked about, probably be developed next year. So probably 2024 or 2025.
Why not? We're running out of things to reboot
Yes.
from the 80s.
Yes.
Now to the 90s.
Yeah, onto the 90s, we'll find it. So speaking of reboots or side boots or what boots that ain't going down, that's what's happening in this next story. You're the DC guy, so you can have this one too.
Yeah, so we talked about, oh yeah, Henry Cavill, everything's coming up Henry. Well,
Right.
basically after being in Black Adam, he had that cameo, and I think the Rock promised him, a deal with the devil, like you're going to be the next big thing. We're gonna fight in a movie. Black Adam is
No
not
deals with the
great
Rock.
has not done great in the box office. We now have, we have James Gunn and Safran now being the head of DC.
Other guy?
And they're essentially saying, you know what? Great and all that you guys have a plan without us, but you can't have a plan without us. And we are basically, it sounds like they're starting to put the brakes on anything that's not already in the bucket or in the can. Right. Sorry, not the bucket. Maybe it is in a bucket.
Well, it's been in a bucket. It's been in a shit bucket. For
yeah, exactly. The Splatoon or the latrine, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
So you talk about like a dumping scrub. They're gonna be like,
yeah. And he declared he was
bucket. Yeah,
and he declared he was back. Says, I am back as Superman. I remember that post. But essentially, I think what we're hearing now is apparently this is according to the Wrap. There's no concrete deal in place for the actor to reprise the role. Man of Steel, Warner Brothers. In addition, no writer or director has been locked in for another blockbuster outing with the Red Caped Hero from Krypton. And then, despite the fact that there was an early roadmap, the fact that now they're building a roadmap with James Gunn. Apparently, they've met with other creatives to build out that roadmap now. So, I think this was while The Rock saw a kind of like a void in who's in charge of DC. I think he was trying to will himself into the role of the head of DC. And when you're moving,
I will do it.
And Black Panther is essentially already outgrossed what
destroyed it.
What Black Adam did in a whole month, and that movie's not even scheduled to go to China. That tells me that they're like, great, thanks for your effort. You did a good job. We'll call you if we need you.
Yeah, exactly. It was a lot of, and maybe that's endemic of the Rock's, background in theatrics with wrestling is that, talking a lot of shit.
Oh yeah.
So he kind of talked himself kind of right off of the side of the
P.T. Barnum, right? Yeah, the greatest showman on earth.
Exactly. He was, it was a combination of that, and it was a little bit like John Hammond from Jurassic Park, and then the T-Rex ate him.
So The Rock is genetically engineering DC storylines.
Yes, exactly.
In a park.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and as you see in the 5 Jurassic movies, how that always worked out. We'll go to thing. There's dinosaurs. Nothing can go wrong. Everything goes wrong.
Wait, who greenlit the Flash Part 2?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh my God, Ezra Miller is our future.
Yes, exactly. Oh well, we'll see how that works. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm hopeful that I would love to see him as Superman again, but I don't want. I think that era is really not a good era to look back at as future indication to say what's going to make DC stronger and better and have better movies.
It was just kind of cutting the cord, doing the Kylo Ren, kill the past and let it die. Sorry, I mean there was nothing, while I enjoyed Shazam, there was nothing about Wonder Woman 1984 that I particularly would like to retain. So.
The Emperor had no clothes when you let people who can direct well do everything, because maybe they aren't the best one to say I'm in control of everything. Oh well, we'll see. Hopefully Wonder Woman 3 is a return to what we liked about that character. So that is it for our time with Madam Webb. Now we turn to our favorite geek establishment so we can get our nerd and our drink on.
But before we do, let me, friends, talk to you a little bit about something called Manscaped. Mentioned it at the top of the show. Please support Secret Friends Unite as we are brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with its exclusive offer for you 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code SFU at manscaped.com. Todd, once again, and I've crunched the numbers on this, that's about 12 million balls. Wow. 12 million.
Actually, after you and me and Mark, I think that's 12 million
18?
and 6. 18?
Well,
do you have a secret, Charlie, you're not telling us?
I thought we had to multiply that by 1 million again. Whoops. Okay, fine.
Not so much. But you know what? I just used the lawnmower to do my weekly haircut. Looks
Nice.
good. Love that. Love the little light underneath it for getting me nice and looking fit and trim. Also did up my little flavor saver with that blade, which is really nice, and also my nose and ear holes with the weed whacker.
I get around to using that weed whacker. I have had April use the main tool on my neck, on the back of my neck, which can be between haircuts. I can get like, so yes, great product. Yes, definitely. Please visit manscaped.com and use code SFU to save that 20%. But with that, we will return you to our regularly scheduled program over at the Geek Easy. Let's go.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting the Geek Easy, drinks are poured, and the cover band is playing. Charlie, this week, what you got?
Ooh, Todd, the great news is you don't have to rant about not liking this, because it's not the show. But it was funny. I had to go get my tires rotated. I was way overdue. In the blizzard yesterday, but I'm like, man, I'm out to do it today. It's going to be another several weeks. So I went down to the Discount Tire. It's only about 10 minutes away. And I took my iPad with me and got into my Comixology app. And I had pre-ordered the first 2 issue of IDW Star Trek Lower Decks comics. And it looks like it's only a 3-issue series. The 3rd issue is going to come out at the end of this month. But oh my goodness, I immediately messaged Katie and Peter, who I do Code 47 podcast with. And I said, you guys have to read this. This is perfect because, and Todd, you and I were talking a little bit in the pre-roll, but the animation of it is mirrored perfectly with what you see on the show, almost as if it's a computer animated comic. The dialogue, the kind of the delivery, I can hear the voices as they're talking. They even have these cute little asides in the bottom, like, it reminds me of the Squirrel Girl comic that my wife absolutely loved from a couple of years ago, where she'd have funny little asides, or she'd do a tweet, or she'd be and just come in there and do something a little bit extra. But it's a crazy storyline because the Cerritos is on a mission. Second contact mission, which is what the ship does. That gets all kind of squirreled around, but then our lower deckers are screwing around on the holodeck, and they try to create a sentient character like they did in an old episode of TNG where they created Moriarty in the Sherlock Holmes program.
Yeah.
But they create Dracula. And
what? Perfect.
It's so, Todd, I would say, even if you don't dig on the show, this is pretty perfect. Okay. And please feel free to just take a glimpse. Because they really nail it. Again, the third issue, sorry about the spoiler. I mean, Dracula runs him, you can see that he's gonna run. No! He's gonna run amok. Oh, well, you knew it was gonna happen. But anyway, that was a lot of fun.
So I've got a question. So I know you've always said what happens off screen is not canon. Is this continuing that vein?
To my knowledge, I mean, that has been a Star Trek rule since probably those first novels were published, or someone got around to it. Maybe it was somewhere during the first golden era of Star Trek in the late 80s all the way through, the mid-aughts when Enterprise went off, because there was always comics and novels and this thing and audiobooks and
Happy
ebooks.
Meals.
And exactly. So you couldn't say, well, there was a back early on when ebooks were brand new and nobody was doing it. There was a series called the Starfleet Corps of Engineers, which was exclusive to ebooks. And so once again, the rule was made, and I'd have to do some research about to tell you when, that if something was not on screen, specific reference, it was non-canon. It was, even you see it in the internet, that Memory Alpha is the wiki for canon Star Trek works. Memory Beta is the one for non-canon works. And so, yes, if you're like, well, I really loved the Enterprise C that was in this episode, and you want to know more about it, you read a book, there's more backstory on the captain of that ship or blah, 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 but it's not anything. It's just fan fiction. Because again, with Star Trek, almost anybody who's writing for it.
But
is
it's
a fan.
owned by the company who makes it, right? So they own
Right.
it. So it's not like somebody's doing it.
Right.
It's not like not in part of the thing. No,
Right. It's an officially licensed work. But yes, please.
Exactly. So we've seen what Disney does now. Everything is canon, right? The TV, all those
with
things.
Star Wars. Yeah, with Star Wars.
Yeah, with Star Wars, and even Star Wars does it more than Marvel does because Marvel has the comics, but they just like it is what it is. So would you prefer some of these things be canon? Or you're like, I'm glad they're not because then they can tell whatever crazy shit they want to say, and it can be just
it's very much the same dichotomy in Star Wars that exists with the EU and everything since Disney took over, because what's really Lower Decks is a great example. And Todd, again, I'm telling you, it might be more enjoyable if some date in the distant future you go back and check it out. I think you might enjoy it if you approach it in a different fashion. But what Lower Decks has done is the same kind of thing that Disney era Star Wars has done, is that they'll reach back and they'll grab a little something. And they'll grab a little something from the animated series, which Gene Roddenberry himself, the 70s Star Trek animated series, which Gene Roddenberry himself hated and said was non-canon. But they'll grab Spock's giant, the giant Spock skeleton showed up in an episode of Lower Decks.
God, that sounds like the greatest thing ever.
Or in the TNG two-parter with Spock, they grabbed something out of an episode of the animated series and stuck that in there. So it is possible, and I think they do it, but just like with EU Star Wars, which is where I started, some of it is just god awful. Mm-hmm. But I grew up with the original Marvel Star Wars series. That was the first comic I ever read. And it was great when you were 6, but when you're 46, it's not so great. Because that was how long ago they came out in 1982. That's how long ago I read it. So sure. Yes, I would like to see Star Trek steal a little bit of here and there. But yeah, there have only been 2 published works, and I stand by this. And somebody please feel to at me at Twitter or on our Discord if I am wrong. But the statement that is ironclad is that there are 2 canon published works in Star Trek. They're both novels from the Voyager era. One is written by Jerry Taylor, who co-created Star Trek Voyager. It's Catherine Janeway's backstory. The other one was, I believe, also written by her and potentially co-written with someone else, which is the backstories of the other Prime characters, which you do not see on the show. Those are considered canon, so you could say, okay, well, Tom Paris, here was the incident that got him thrown on a Starfleet in its catalog there.
Okay.
So yes, that's it. But I really enjoyed this. I think it would fit so perfectly in with the series because it doesn't do anything new or different or daunting or challenging, but it's fun because that's what the show is. It's fun. The show, as I've said, filled with a lot of inside jokes that you don't necessarily have to get to just go, they're making fun of each other and they're bleeping out an F-bomb here or there. You know what I mean? Because it's funny. So anyway, I recommend that. Final issue comes out November 30. So jump on your Amazon, which fortunately or unfortunately owns Comixology, but that's where you find it. You can go ahead and pre-order that. But I would highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun.
Very good.
Excellent. And then secondly, I did watch a Christmas story, which Todd informed me. And then as I continued to go down this rabbit hole, I found there was even more, but there was a second canonical licensed Christmas story film in the 90s. Now, the Christmas story for the people of our generation, Todd, I know you ever thought about this, that goes back with your dad. But the Christmas story it came out in 1983. It was the tale of this kid in Christmas in 1940 who's from rural Indiana, and his adventures with his school-age friends and how he wants a Red Ryder BB gun, blah, blah, blah. You don't need me to tell you the story. There was a second licensed one that came out in 2012, so not 10 years ago, which is set when Ralphie, who's the main character, is 15 and wants to get a car and blah. So I read the synopsis, but then I found out both of those movies are on HBO Max. So I think I started to watch it, and
no,
I think April was like, no. Like, we started watching here's another slam, the Santa Clauses, which is the continuation of the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. Absolutely unwatchable. Turned it off.
So did you like the other movies or no?
Which other movies?
Did you like the Santa Claus in those movies?
Yeah, loved them. Yeah,
okay.
This one just seemed like more of the same, and I didn't dig it. But anyway, not to get too far off.
Okay.
There is now a third Christmas story film. It's now a trilogy. plus a bunch of other weird other stuff. But this is told from the perspective of an adult Ralphie. He's now in his 40s. The year is 1973, and he is going back with his wife and his 2 young kids from Chicago back home for Christmas when he finds out, tiny spoiler from the beginning, his father has passed away. And so it's a framing story kind of around that. He's also a struggling, continually failing writer. He's trying to make it, and that's not happening. And so the story is based around that, but you get a lot of the original cast back. You get Zach Ward as Scud Farkas, who I found out when I was reading tried to sue the production company in the past twice for likeness rights and merchandise violation, and got tossed out both times. I can't believe they asked him back. He's the guy's poison. He was also in that great show Titus.
Well, he's Scott Farkas, right?
Yeah, Scud Farkas, exactly. So yeah, I couldn't do it, even though his role in the film is very small. But you do get his buddies Flick and Schwartz, same kids. You get his brother Ralphie back, same guy. But the mother they replaced with the woman who is Elaine from Airplane, because the woman who played the mother in the original film she's alive, but she's retired.
Oh, sure.
I thought it was fun. I mean, the danger in any one of these sequels, because again, for people who didn't see the 2012 second film because it was direct to video, and Todd, you had to tell me about it, and even I didn't believe it.
I think I caught it on TV one day, and I'm like, I don't think I need to watch this.
Exactly. So, like I said, I think we watched the first couple minutes. We're like, I just don't think so.
Sure.
This was cute. I'd recommend it. I had another friend who asked me.
I'm curious.
I dropped on our SFI Discord to some of my friends in the chat. I said, I'm watching this. Let me know how it is. I would recommend it. I think it's fun. It's nothing earth-shattering, but I think it's a nice little nod and a wink to characters and growing up in general and Christmas and what have you. So yeah, I would give it a thumbs up. I liked it.
You know, that makes me think, Charlie, we may have to do an episode about, and maybe we have. I have to look back because we're 402 now. It's like we might have repeat this, but it's like kind of like our take on holiday specials. Have we covered that before?
Right.
Or movies?
I mean, within
if we can't remember, it's probably maybe time to go back to it.
Right. I wouldn't think anybody else after 400 episodes. Well, back in episode 78, you guys totally did that.
Did somebody make a Wikipedia out of us already?
You're creatively bankrupt. Oh, we should. Categorizing of our episodes.
Oh, my God. If somebody wants to come and join our team and be like our historian and Wikipedian.
Oh, my God.
God almighty. We'll give you like a ridiculous title.
You bet. Any ridiculous title you want.
Commandant of history. Yes.
Moving on. What have you got?
So, yeah, I've been like hammering out about a bunch of shows that I finally completed. Charlie, I've trying to get through Titans season 3.
Oh, we never got back to that.
I'm getting close.
We're in season 3. Yeah,
I'm getting close to being done because season 4 is now out, or the beginning of season 4. So I'm going to get through that so I can get to season 4, but I'm really enjoying it. But I totally embrace that this is just a more cutting edge, grittier CW show, but I enjoy it a lot more than the average CW shows, because at least
it's like, adult, it's aimed at adults, not teenagers. And
exactly, there's no like goofy love elements, but I also think it's got a little bit better budget. I think the writing's a little bit better, but I'm not dumb enough to believe that this is fine art. It's just is what it is.
Well, it's with superheroes. What fine art superheroes have we got? Yeah, exactly.
And they still wear costumes that look reminiscent, and they do those things. So I'm enjoying it quite a bit, but I do know what it is. So you know what? How many shows I'm going to get a live action Beast Boy? All these Starfire. How many shows I'm going to actually get that? Probably none. So this is better than I could have hoped for. It's not going to be like the horrible Gotham Knights that might never come to the CW, but I digress.
Never heard of it. Or better than the Birds of Prey from the.
I digress. But something that is much better that is now returned is Mythic Quest Season 3 on Apple TV Plus. This is Season 3. They always do a fantastic job of having a good focus of a season. Once again, it's about a video game company, but the best sitcoms are basically, they don't make it about what they do. Like Dunder Mifflin was about paper, but you didn't get to hear about how the paper was made.
Like Parks and Recreation wasn't just about like, oh man, it's a budget meeting.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We didn't hear Sam Malone talk about how he actually made his cocktails and things like that. We didn't get that. We didn't have like Carly got mad about I ran out of beer. Oh no, I have to find the distributor. exactly.
Right.
That
Exactly.
doesn't happen. So this is the same way, but season 3, essentially, it's the next step where, no spoilers, but essentially the creators of the game have now gone off and done their own spin-off. Then we've got the rest of the crew kind of doing their old thing. So we've got the two dynamics of the company, kind of like, what was it, the Michael Scott Paper Company? Kind of like that in a lot of ways. It's very funny because they're
Right.
actually in the same building too, which is very odd. So it's very much odd, but it's great. And they dealt with F. Murray Abraham is not on the show anymore. I loved how they dealt with the elephant in the room. They took care of it like right away at the beginning of episode 1, which is awesome. I think the show is hilarious. The cast is phenomenal. It's definitely well worth it. If you like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, shows like that, it's got lots of good talent. What's his called? The crazy guy who was a priest who ended up getting into drugs on It's Always Sunny. Remember him?
Oh God, I don't remember.
Like the homeless
we
guy.
Watched that. We watched that whole series, but it was a while ago, or I did. I think maybe it was me.
But he's in it.
Yeah,
but he's in it. It's very good. So I definitely check it out. It's on. They just released episode 3. I'm really enjoying it. It's a great sitcom. Really love it. Apple TV Plus. Some really hidden gems. They just don't have a lot of stuff. They have enough stuff. And they also have I think you've got Charlie, the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving is on there.
We tuned back in, and it was funny. We wanted to watch the second season of Physical, which is that show with Rose Byrne.
Yeah.
And they were having playback errors yesterday.
Oh,
like I stopped and restarted, So I don't know, it was just a glitch because everything else was working fine. So it was just them. So whatever. Okay. We'll go back to it. But yeah, we've got it to 3 months or whatever. So yeah, we'll tune back in.
Yeah, and I'm watching these shows now. I showed you a picture in my workout room, which is a utility room.
Oh, yes.
It's a little sketchy looking right now. It's going to look better. But I bought their Black Friday deals at Walmart, 40-inch TV for $98, and it works great. It's a Roku TV, so it's got Roku built in.
Wow.
Mounted that sucker.
I do love.
It's perfect for the exercise. Yeah.
We do have, for when we do shows, we have it in April, got a TV cart, which we just unscrew. The TV is fixed to it, but we just unscrew it. But it's a Roku TV as well. So one of the shows we did this summer, we just logged into the Wi-Fi at this place we were doing it and just showed episodes that way because it's a Roku TV.
Yeah.
I love Roku TV. No, it's the greatest. Good stuff.
It's great. Yeah, it's great. So another show that debuted that I watched with the wife is The Winchesters. This is the first official spin-off of Supernatural. This essentially takes place in the 60s. 60s, early 70s. No, I guess it's early 70s, like 71. So, John Winchester has just returned from Vietnam to his town.
Gotcha. Okay.
His mother, his dad is essentially gone from the family, and his mom is basically runs a garage, and she's keeping the family afloat in this small little town in Kansas. And essentially, we find out that his dad was tied into the Men of Letters, which is the group. It's like the secret society that takes on the monsters. But he didn't know about this until this woman Mary shows up, who essentially is gonna be his future wife. It's a prequel, by the way. So, and it's a new Scooby gang where she leads the Scooby gang. She's looking for her father, similar to the Winchesters were looking for their dad, basis his journal. So very reminiscent of very similar story beats, but we're seeing a lot of the origins of how these things came about, kind of like how it is. There's a cast of characters that are very diverse, which my wife and I laughed about. Like there's a guy who I think
in Kansas. Kind of like Smallville.
Yeah, but very diverse. It's like you've got an Indian girl, you've got not Native American, but Indian girl from the country of India. Then you've got a guy who I think is part Native American, part Hispanic on the team. And then you've got this black woman who runs like a cult bookshop or something like that. So you've got a Scooby gang, and they've got, the best part about it is, Charlie, they've got a kick-ass van. So instead of like the Impala, now they've got a kick-ass van with that little like dome window. It's got really cool colors. So an iconic vehicle. We don't always get new iconic vehicles in our franchises.
Exactly.
Yeah. But this show is what Supernatural was when it was the monster of the week. I don't know if it's going to build into something more. They're talking about the Krita, which is apparently like this evil force coming, like the big bad of a season. So I'm not expecting the show to be great, but so far it's fun. It's fun. It's not ideal. I see some issues with some of the characters, but maybe they'll grow on me. I'm up to 2 episodes in. I mean, no, Rome was not built in a day.
Can't judge too harshly, so that's fun. I know. I will. I'll tip April off because that was her.
It's on the CW app once again.
Yeah. Right, the CW app. Which, speaking of,
it's free, limited commercials.
we got hooked on Lois and Superman, which we probably ought to just really like go with that with all the cuts.
As long as you like it, yeah, watch it until it's gone.
Yeah. Watch it till it's gone. Exactly. So, well, that Geek eases us right out. So, Todd, it is time to get out there to your Qantas app. It's time to get down to the land down under. The mutants are waiting for the Thunderdome. Let's go.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained, and we're sitting in the Thunderdome, and we are kicking off a topic this week, and it is all about Thanksgiving themed, folks. And this is going to be about essentially the Thanksgiving dinner. And I propose the question to say, if you could have any food from any science fiction, fantasy, comic book, video game that you could have for a Thanksgiving dinner, what would you bring? So we got some responses already, Charlie. We'll cover these first, and then we'll kind of go into the mix. Because I mean, I think about this, sometimes in video game food, it's gross. Like it's like, oh, it powers you up. It's a ham that dropped on the floor. That's my power up. Who's eating a ham off the floor?
It depends. Well, don't forget Homer Simpson and the free goo. Oh God, there we go. See, there we go.
Exactly. So this is the whole
64
point.
slices of American cheese. There we go.
Exactly. So there's been a time where you've looked at it like a cartoon. You're just like, that looks really good. That ham looks really tasty. And it's like, okay, let's go and see. Let's if we could have anything, it's really limitless. And this is what we got for some responses from the Discord group. So we've got Mark, our friend, the Canadian. They do their Canadian Thanksgiving.
It's like a month ago.
They do it in October. It's like, yeah, whatever. He gets mad at us.
Yeah.
I'm like, you love our Black Friday. Come on, admit it.
Exactly. Yeah, we were talking about that because we were planning to have a meeting to talk about some stuff. And you were like, well, let's get back to it after U.S. Thanksgiving. He was like, oh, you Brits with you Yanks with your blah 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 Turkey Day in November, whatever. So yeah, exactly. You like our Black Friday and our deal, so zip it.
Yeah. So Mark said Ninja Turtle pizza, cheese spray from the Goofy movie, honey from any Winnie the Pooh cartoon, a turkey leg from Sword in the Stone, and a pie from Snow White. So he went all in Disney except for the Ninja Turtles.
Fantastic.
I could see
I
it.
love it.
I could see it. Yeah, those are actually real food. So why not?
Yes. Well, the ones that I've hooked up are not. But let's see here. What does this do? Is it Famous Seamus? But
it is Famous Seamus. Yeah.
Differently?
Yep. The most famous of all Seamus.
Seen it spelled differently, but he says Krabby Patties or Pretty Patties. That's from SpongeBob. The stuff, don't know what the stuff is. You'll have to educate me, but wait, because that comes up in our next one as well, so you can save it. Chicken fingers from that one episode of Community. Yeah,
sure.
I'm drawing a blank on that one. Labas bread, is that like
bread.
Is that like not? That's not Labada bread, the forbidden lambada bread.
Lambada bread, no.
Roasted pork with or without the legs. That would be from Star Wars: The Last Jedi. And Scooby snacks. Now I went on to say, Todd, that is my crack, is the Scooby snacks that Kellogg's makes. And Todd, you missed an opportunity because you'd be getting my money for that, because those are super hard to find. April will go to order them from Meijer like she did today for the drop-off, and they're just out of stock all over the place. I'm often on the hunt for Scooby snacks.
Check convenience stores. They also often sell them there, like in their little pouches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Lembas bread, Charlie, is from The Lord of the Rings.
Oh, that's why I have no idea what it is. Okay, so you do this next one, then you can explain to me what it is.
Okay, the stuff. So this has got to be a movie we watch for like a throwback episode, because I've seen this movie when I was a kid. I thought it was the bee's knees, but it's called The Stuff, and it's essentially I have to find like the poster for it, but essentially it's like this like Cool Whip type of like, those whip toppings. But it's essentially an alien that it eats you eat it, and then it eats you from the inside. It turns you into like a zombie. So The Stuff, it's like a whip topping. It's the Cool Whip.
Terrific.
Yes. It has a great.
I like it very much.
It has a good poster. It says, I have to find the poster for the stuff. I will find that. So let's see if I can find it. It's like it eats you before it eats you. Okay, here we go. It'll change your life forever. Habit forming, mind controlling, life absorbing. You can never get enough of the stuff. There's like no ingredient deck on it, and people aren't. And then I don't want to tell you more, Charlie, because I think.
Is it like I can't get enough of that funky stuff?
It is kind of funky, yeah.
There you go.
It's one of the things that never expires.
I love it. Oh, like Spam. because it's not organic. All right, well, hey, take us home before you and I get into our show.
Yeah, exactly. And then my wife, I told her, I'm like, we're doing this. She was like, let me text you. So my wife said, Miss Christine Oxtra, Mrs. Weasley's mince pies in Harry Potter. So very good. Mince pies. That's very British. That's my wife's wheelhouse. Love mince. Now, I don't know if it's like real mince, like mincemeat we get, which is apples and raisins, versus mince in, the UK, which is probably beef tallow and more savory elements. We'll find out. And then Bilbo Baggins' birthday cake. This is the birthday cake that's like, it's like 2 stories tall. It's huge. So it makes sense. My wife loves cake. I'm a pie guy. Yeah.
Why weren't those hobbits that much fatter if they ate so much?
They were kind of chunky, but
well, all the ones in Lord of the Rings, maybe it's because of all that walking. They're getting all that good cardio.
They do move. They do move. Yeah.
That's
what
kept them in shape.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Well, let me take this on. I've got a few. They're all Star Trek. Not surprising. I started thinking about Star Trek food, and I brought up a list to jog my memory, even though I had a couple of them. The first one I would say from Deep Space Nine, from the planet Bajor, Hasperat, which is a very spicy like burrito. They describe it as having brine in it. I don't know that I want to eat something with briny, but what the hell? Why not? They do it. And diametrically opposed would be a Cardassian beverage known as Kanar, which, when seen poured at Quark's bar, is actually syrup. It's drinking syrup.
Drinking syrup. Sounds refreshing.
Which I was going to say, if you watch like Super Troopers, which is a movie Todd hates, that's something that they do. But yeah, it's pretty much. And then, 2 from the classics would be from the Klingon Empire. We have Rokeg Blood Pie, which is never seen, but use your imagination. Todd, you're a pie guy, so that one's for you.
Yeah,
that one is for you. And then the classic, it's kind of like French fries, but it's alive. It would be Klingon Gach, which is serpent worms served live, and a lot of different varieties of them as well. So yeah, doesn't that sound good? Are you into that?
Love it. Love it.
I love it. Anyway, props out to Code 47, where we talk about all things Star Trek.
Exactly. Perfect. Okay, well, I've got a couple, Charlie. So thank you for those. So you know what? I'm going to bring some beverages to the table, just like you did. So I think butterbeer from Harry Potter is very good. I've actually had that at Universal Studios. Very tasty. It's kind of like a butterscotch, kind of like a
drinking
soda.
Butter.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? If you want something a little more sweeter, Slurm from Futurama, where it was
it's good stuff.
dispensed by a slurm worm. It was like an energy drink.
I'm trying to remember, there was some reference in the 2009 JJ Star Trek movie that was, I thought it was like he snuck like a slurm billboard somewhere in the background when the shuttlecraft was flying out of San Francisco. It feels like that's something I'm remembering. But yeah, slurmy.
Then we're going, if you want a little bit something alcoholic, Duff beer. Why not?
Ooh.
Duff man, get your Thanksgiving on.
Or if you prefer, what's the other version that Mo came up with? Doof with the
or Flaming Mo, for that after cocktail, Charlie, the Flaming Mo.
Or better, or if you wanted a different one, as Homer said, what's that beer with all the candy in it? Skittlebrow.
Yeah, and then you got with the Pawtucket beer from the
Pawtucket Patriot. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's plenty of beverages for everybody. Now, if you want to make it a little healthy, Charlie, Smurfberry pie. So you got the Smurfberries. Oh my goodness! Get a pie. It's very tasty.
It's fruit.
Good to eat. Yep.
The filling.
And then if you need, I think this is where we go over the top. You get your turkey, but this is like the turducken, but you stuff it with Krusty Burgers. Or steamed hams, as we would call
it. Only available at the Krusty Burger on that offshore drilling rig.
Exactly.
It has to be flown out.
Exactly, yeah. So we got like some Smurfberry pie. Why not? And then I think at that point, I'm trying to think what else we could bring the party. You know what? If we're going to the Peanuts, to bring your popcorn to the party,
and
right?
Toast, popcorn and toast.
So tasty. I think we've got it covered off. So, and we haven't talked like I'm assuming the Klingons, they've killed lots of beasts, but I think we talked about porg. That's a good entree. So is there any other like big entree we bring to the table? I mean, if you think about
they, if a Klingon will slay a Targ, which is essentially like a chupacabra, but it's the size of a big dog. That could be one. That's the one. Romulans like a good soup. That's
Good
good.
soup.
They like a good soup. You know, and it's funny. I'll look over this list to see if anything else really jumps right at me. Vulcans like a good soup. It's called plomeek soup. That's kind of one of their real big ones. And the even in the Dominion, the Vorta, who are the servants of the changelings, they like a good kava nut or a rippleberry. So there
Okay.
you go. Yes, the Romulans like a good. Romulans like, yes, a stew or a jumbo mollusk. It's a jumbo Romulan mollusk. Yeah, it's like a jumbo shrimp. There you go.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of mushrooms. I don't like them at all. But you know what? I know some people are. So I'd get one of those one-up mushrooms from Super Mario Brothers that make you big, or Alice in Wonderland, I guess would be the other appropriate. Yeah.
Oh, here, and I'll end with this one from the Ferengi, a very big species, obviously in DS9 and then in TNG. Sluggo Cola, which is like Slurm. So it's kind of like that's a Pepsi to the Coke. Slurm or Sluggo Cola, same thing.
Exactly. And last one, if you want a dessert or just something after dinner, we would get the eggnog from Christmas Vacation, and then we would get the chocolate frogs from Harry Potter.
Ooh, and one last one on top of that for breakfast: Kardashian fish juice. I kid you. Reminds you of that episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns is throwing fish guts off a parade float. Merry Fishmas.
Oh, we could get Blinky. You know, we could, if people like fish, we get Blinky.
Oh, you're right. Head of
Steam
Blinky.
up.
Remember that was there you go. Oh my God.
Boy.
This was Todd, I will give you to your credit, you do sometimes come out of left field with some crazy ideas.
Woohoo!
One
I
really
win.
liked. But good catch. Good catch. Well, with that, Todd, that is the program. Where do people find you out there?
Follow me at Toxtra. Right now we're getting to the end of fantasy season, so you're gonna see me do a lot of panicky, like, who do I need to play? Because I'm in first place right now. I gotta win. But yeah, doing that, just having a good time. You know, Twitter, don't know if it's gonna be around. You know, I'm assuming it will.
Right.
It's a $44 billion company, so you know we'll probably put some things out there where you can find us. But you know what? Definitely join our Discord group because that's where we have a lot of fun. We're gonna do more with Discord in the next future couple of months, so we want to see people there, and then go to our YouTube channel and watch us because I think we're doing a lot of fun stuff there.
You better believe it. I'm also over on Twitter for the time being. At the C3, go ahead and spell it out. I'm really late on Facebook these days, so just kind of forget about that. I'm not on Instagram anymore. But again, I'm totally down with Discord, but I'm kind of in both houses of Congress. I'm over there on the SFU Discord, the Secret Friends Discord, but also for the USS Grand Petoskey, which is the chapter of the Starfleet Star Trek International Fan Club that my wife April and I run here in West Michigan. If you're listening to the sound of my voice and you live in Michigan and want to know about that, our Discord is a great place to find it. Or better place to start would probably be our website of the same name because we'd love to have you on board. And again, just raised a lot of money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is something that's a big focus of what we do. So we'd love to tell you all about it. So that's it for me, friends. As always, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In the truck.
Go, go, Power Rangers!
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.